Sa bayan, sariling kalayaan ay kinalimutan.
Wish 1075.
Sana'y upang mapapilan sa hukbo ng sandata. Mahal sa buhay ay nilisan dahil sa pangarap na maglingkod sa inang bayan. Kapayapaan ang bitin, sakripisyo ng bawat sundalo. Buhay ay laging nasa peligro sa panahon ng digmaan, lumalaban na may tapang. Iaalay ang sariling buhay para sa kabayanihan. Para sa bayan, sino pa ang tungkulin ay gagampanan? Ito ang panata ng isang away na hindi kalilimutan. Hirap at pagod ay lalampasan dahil sa pangarap na makamit ang kapayapaan. Kapayapaan ang bitin, sakripisyo ng bawat sundalo.
Mahirap man, tuloy pa rin ang laban.
Iniwan ang tahanan upang paglingkuran ng bayan.
Tiyakin na ang mapapalat sa di makitang bantay. Dakila ka, bayani ka, pinasan mo ang hirap para sa iyong bansa. Kayo ang aming yaman at karangalan. Ito'y aming isisigaw kahit saan. Dakila ka, bayani ka, Pilipino ka. Dalangin ko sa'yo, Ama, ingatan mong lahat sila. Silang mga nag-aalaga, kumakalina. Ano mang paniniwala, ano mang kulay nila, magkakaisa sa pagtulong sa kaligtasan ng iba. Bayani ka, pinasan mo ang hirap para sa iyong bansa. Kayo ang aming yaman at karangalan. Ito'y aming isisigaw kahit saan. Dakila ka, bayani ka, Pilipino kita, Trimulus, Pilipas, dahil kinatangin aming hiling sana sa'yo. Ito'y aming isisigaw kahit saan. Dakila ka, bayani ka, Pilipino ka.
Greetings of peace and valor from me to our audiences for this celebration. I am Rhea Joyalcano, your host for this event. For the whole duration of this virtual endeavor, we hope you to enjoy and relax at your seat as we commemorate and celebrate Araw ng Kagitingan. To officially start our virtual program, let us be filled with serenity as we glorify our Almighty Provider. And stay still as we hail with high regard our motherland with our national anthem, to be followed by the hymn of the University of Mindanao.
comfort me through all the pain that life may bring. There's no other hope that I can lean upon. Lead me, Lord, lead me all my life. Walk by me across the lonely roads that I may face. Take my arms and let your hand show me the way. Show the way to live inside your heart all my days, all my life. You are my light, you're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. You are my light, I cannot live alone. Let me stay by your guiding love all through my life. Lead me, Lord. Lead me, Lord. Even though at times I'd rather go alone my way, help me take the right direction. Take your road. Lead me, Lord, and never leave my side. All my days, all my life. You are my light, you're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. You are my light, I cannot live alone. Let me stay by your guiding love all through my life. You are my light, you're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. I just cannot live alone. Let me stay by your guiding love all through my life, all through my days. So lead me, oh Lord. Lead me.
Ang dugong gumuhit ng ating kasaysayan, ng ating pagkatao, ng ating lahi, ay ang dugo ng kabayanihan. Mula sa mga bakas na iniwan ng ating mga ninuno, ating ipinagpapatuloy ang kanilang nasimulan sa mga paraang hinihingi ng anumang panahon. Taglay ang ipinamanang kagitingan at inspirasyon. Dahil ang apoy na sumiklab ilang siglo na ang nakalilipas ay nabubuhay pa rin sa atin magpahanggang ngayon. Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
faith in thee will never cease to sing, that thy name shall always ring with glory. Honor to you, ever, alma mater dear, University of Mindanao. Ang nabayan sa timog Mindanao, gabay ka sa aming mga kabataan. Anak namin ay talino't karunungan, sa iyo ay makakamtan. Mananalig sa'yo ay di magbabago, mamahalin namin lagi pangalan mo. Dakilang UM ang alma mater ko, Universidad ng Mindanao.
Ladies and gentlemen, we all are part of history in the making.
Will I fall? Legends made when faith is strong. Some people wanna turn and run, but the strong rise under the dawn. Never gonna keep me down. Destiny is calling me. Go down in history. Every day I fight to be.
I shall return. People of the Philippines, I have returned.
A hero's gonna save me just in time.
In this celebration of heroism and service, the Ilustrado community would like to welcome you all in this virtual gathering, where we become one in the name of nationality and heroism. In order to relay the proper welcoming message, joining us here today, our stalwart advisor as he delivers his opening remarks, let us all welcome Professor Wenji Sanchez. A round of virtual applause, please.
To the presidents of different organizations under the College of Teachers Education, to the officers and members of Illustrado, and to all of the participants and attendees for this event, welcome. It is my privilege to welcome you to our virtual culmination of the commemoration of the Day of Valor. I am delighted to have you with us to participate in this event. Thank you for your participation. This day is the national celebration of the Day of Valor. This observance commemorates the surrender of the Bataan forces against the Japanese forces and experienced the horrendous death march. This tradition is held to look back and pay tribute to the heroism and sacrifices of our war veterans. It also aims to memorialize the ideals and deeds of our war veterans as a means to promote patriotism and love for country. Since you will see in the social media, the social media highlights the deeds of our heroes. Siguro I would like to emphasize in these welcome remarks, this is not only about the war veterans but also ito din ay paggunita sa bawat mamamayang Pilipino na pumipiling lumaban sa araw-araw. Magsasaka ka man, doktor, nurse, teacher, students, isa ka bang mag-aaral, tayo ay patuloy na lumalaban araw-araw sapagkat naniniwala tayo na mag-aani tayo, ito ay mag-aani ng isang magandang bukas. This celebration is a reminder to us that through courage and determination, like how our veterans defended our country in the war, we can also overcome our ongoing battle against COVID-19. Once again, I want to say on behalf of the ILUSSTRADO organization, welcome to the culmination activities of the Day of Valor, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Wenji. This day marks the 79th year when the fall of Bataan and Corregidor happened. As part of our national history, I believe it is our job to commemorate this day in honor of our valiant men who protected our motherland. With this thought, the ILUSSTRADO community felt a need to be involved on remembering our past and heritage. Having said, we have prepared 2 events, namely the digital poster making contest and the 1-minute video. Entries are submitted from Agent, Asnishub, Elites, Samafil, Humufed, YIST, and UM-PCMS. To have a look for their entries, let us all watch this.
April 9, 1942 was the day that over 76,000 Filipino, Chinese, and American soldiers were forced to surrender to the Japanese. This was also called the single largest surrender of US soldiers in history. But it does not just end there. These soldiers were forced to take a 90-mile hike, and this was called the Bataan Death March, as 20,000 of them died due to starvation and dehydration. I shall return. This was the promise of General MacArthur as he proceeds to the US, where he planned to retake the Philippines from the Japanese. Through the bravery and heroic defense of the remaining soldiers, led to the turn in the fortunes and Allied victory. This leads to the proclamation of Executive Number 203 that April 9 as Araw ng Kagitingan to pay tribute to the heroes of Bataan and Corregidor. The day was called the Day of Valor because valor means bravery. We are happy when we are in holidays, but also be reminded the reason behind it. The Day of Valor, the Day of Bravery. I am a Filipino. I am courageous.
Celebrating Araw ng Kagitingan has been our tradition for decades whenever April 19 comes. We start rejoicing and upholding the bravery of our heroes in past battles. But this is a misconception. Myth Professor Mela Aguilar, a Filipino historian, relate this blasting statement and the celebration of Araw ng Kagitingan. According to Professor Mela Aguilar, history states that April 9 was established as Araw ng Kagitingan because it is the day where we take a break and spend the time commemorating our fallen heroes. Filipino misunderstood the real meaning behind Araw ng Kagitingan. This misconception of Araw ng Kagitingan affects our history. April 9 or not, commemorating our fallen heroes is the most important, and it always in our heart.
I want freedom, shouted of the maximum of 75,000 prisoners in Bataan Death March. In the first place, how, when, and where did it start? It started when the Japanese started to bomb the military base of the American in Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. The Japanese captured Manila along with a maximum of 75,000 prisoners of Filipinos and Americans. They marched the 65-mile going to the prisoners' camp. Now, have you imagined those experiences they did face and the long trek of agony and punishment? Those of 75,000 prisoners died in hungerness, tiredness, punishment, heat, and thirstiness by the hands of the merciless Japanese. However, General Douglas MacArthur promised to the Philippines to come back and have the freedom they stole. Years passed by, MacArthur came back and gave the freedom from the steel hands of the Japanese.
Hello world, hello Philippines! Did you consider yourself as a hero? Or have you ever heard the heroism of Filipino and American soldiers when the Japanese occupied the Philippines during World War II? Did you know that Araw ng Kagitingan is actually the commemoration of what was formerly two national holidays, the Fall of Bataan on April 9 and the Fall of Corregidor on May 6. It was revised and signed by President Cory Aquino under Executive Order 203, combining the two into Araw ng Kagitingan. And that's it! The greatness of Filipino people is undeniable even up to date. We may face different circumstances because of the COVID-19. However, we stand here as a Filipino. To all frontliners out there and to my fellow Filipino, we can be hero in our own, just like our ancestors brought greatness in our land. Happy Araw ng Kagitingan, everyone! Thank you!
Hi! Do you know why we are celebrating Araw ng Kagitingan? In the 9th day of April, we are celebrating Araw ng Kagitingan, also known as Bataan Day or the Day of Valor, to commemorate the heroism and sacrifices of all the men and women who defended our country from the looming threat that endangered Filipinos' existence brought by the Japanese during World War II. In this time of pandemic, as we celebrate the 79th year of the fall of Bataan, we are not just giving honor to all the veterans who protected our country, but also to the fallen health workers and frontliners who stood fast and those people who continue to contain and resist the invisible enemy, COVID-19.
Did you know that Araw ng Kagitingan is marked on April 9 in the Philippines each year? Weh, di nga. Alam mo? It is so sad to hear that we have these Filipinos who do not know the exact reason why April 9 is considered as a national holiday.
Kanusta niya Marso?
Kabalo! Oh, kabalo!
April 19.
Weh. The Day of Valor was a national observance until a letter of instruction number 1087 dated on November 26, 1980 made Araw ng Kagitingan a national public holiday. Executive Order number 203 dated on June 30, 1987 further proclaimed April 9 as Araw ng Kagitingan to pay tribute to the heroes of Bataan, Corregidor, and Besa. But despite of the many Filipinos who seem to forget this historic date, my heart is still in greatest delight knowing many still remembers.
9. April 9.
April 9.
April 9.
April 9.
Clap.
Like, wow! Those are indeed great works of art. Kudos to all CTE student organizations who have participated in our event. It is with huge privilege to have this platform where we, as citizens of this country, pay tribute to our veterans and of course to our frontliners who once again manifested the gallantry of our kind. At this juncture, let us all revisit the April 9, 1942 events through the reading of our history. Let us all welcome the ILUSSTRADO Secretary, Ms. Marjorie Fernandez, to do the honor. Let's give her a virtual applause.
The Day of Valor, also known as Araw ng Kagitingan, commemorates the heroism of Filipinos and American soldiers when the Japanese occupied the Philippines during World War II. Major General Edward King of the United States Army was forced to surrender more than 76 Filipinos, Chinese, and American soldiers to the Japanese at dawn on April 9, 1942. The soldiers were forced to take a 90-mile or about 145 kilometers hike to Camp O'Donnell in San Fernando. Thousands of prisoners died during the hike, or also known as the Bataan Death March, due to starvation, dehydration, and diseases before they could reach the camp. Despite the trials of defeat, the captured soldiers stood strong and heroes emerged from the event. The surrender of Bataan hastened the fall of Corregidor. However, without this stand, the Japanese might have quickly overrun all of the US bases in the Pacific. Bataan forced them to slow down, giving the Allies valuable time to prepare for conflicts such as the Battle of the Coral Sea and the Battle of Midway, which followed thereafter. American and Filipino liberation forces eventually took the Bataan Peninsula on February 8, 1945. The Day of Valor was a national observance until a letter of instruction number 1087 dated on November 26, 1980 made Araw ng Kagitingan a national public holiday to honor the people who helped bring democracy and freedom in the Philippines during the World War II era. Executive Order Number 203, dated on June 30, 1987, further proclaimed April 9 as Araw ng Kagitingan to pay tribute to the heroes of Bataan, Corregidor, and Besang. Araw ng Kagitingan, or also known as the Day of Valor, marks the greatness of Filipino fighters during the World War II. It is marked on April 9 in the Philippines each year.
Thank you, Ms. Secretary, for enriching our glass with Philippine historical memoir. Over the corridors of time, this very moment, in this very hour, was the defeat of our forces against the Japanese. However, they did not rest until the victory was ours. Indeed, a manifested act of valor that contributed to what we are right now in the present times. Going back to your respective entries, the ILUSSTRADO auditor is still tabulating the results. Everybody who participated will be rewarded with e-certificates. At this point of time, let us all welcome the ILUSSTRADO President to deliver a message for his fellow student organization presidents who are here virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the ever-dazzling, shining and shimmering ILUSSTRADO's President, Michael Dayanan Duna. Let's give him a virtual applause.
To the ILUSSTRADO community, my fellow ILUSSTRADO officers, our ever supportive advisor, Mr. Wenji Sanchez, our CTE student organizations presidents, to the Office of Student Affairs, good day. Their memory be as lasting as the land they honored, says Daniel Webster in a quote I once read. Today, we honor the courage and service of our veterans whose sacrifices have left an indelible mark in our motherland and its children in these present times. They have shielded our country from the most dangerous of wars, specifically the World War II. Our forces fought alongside American forces to protect Bataan and Corregidor from Japanese aggression 79 years ago today. While loss was our destiny at this time, but in different period, the honor and glory of saving and defending the Philippines was worthy of being remembered. Even after losing, the Allied forces' courage was expressed in their fight for victory. Yet again in history, we have come to another era when valor is manifested in our race. This pandemic has opened our eyes once more to the gallantry of our kind. We must applaud our frontline staffs, including the medical professionals, our men in uniform, the government, and those concerned citizens who have offered their resources, rendered their service and time for the common good. These are the days when valor is defined by the strength of one's conviction and courage is defined by one's devotion and passion for serving others. We are now virtually united in this commemoration of our country's past, rather than being divided by our areas of expertise. We are not separated by our lines of concentration at this time in our lives, but rather, as Filipinos commemorating our past, celebrating our heritage, and thanking our fellow countrymen, especially our veterans and frontliners, for the service they have done. Sooner, we will be showing our valor for our motherland, for our beloved motherland. Sa susunod na kabanata ng ating kasaysayan, ay tayo naman po ang mag-aalay ng ating kalakasan, puso at talento sa bansang kumupkup at umaruga sa atin. Dalangin ng mga bumubuo ng Organisasyong Ilustrado na sa pagdating ng panahong tayo naman ay maipamutawi natin mula sa kainabuturan ng ating damdamin at diwa ang pagmamahal sa ating bansa, kapwa at sa mga sumisimbolo nito. Let's have a sense of shared destiny, as the late Senator Miriam Santiago said. Again, I, in behalf of the Ilustrado, would like to thank you for responding positively to our invitation of celebrating the Philippines Araw ng Kagitingan. Now, up for better days. Thank you everyone and keep safe. To God be the greatest glory.
Indeed, Mr. President, what a call for a united Philippines in our generation. And thank you for that. Truly, when the day comes where we will be facing the real deal in this country, may we all have a sense of shared destiny as mentioned. And now, the deliberation has been done. And the announcement of winners for our digital poster and 1-minute trivia video competition is coming up. I will be announcing all the winners for the digital poster making to be followed by the victors of the 1-minute trivia video. But before that, I would like to give thanks for everyone who's here joining us today. Congratulations for all the winners and to everyone who really exerted their time and effort to join us here today. Without taking much of your time to celebrate your success, here is the ILUSSTRADO's Vice President for his closing remarks. Let us all welcome Mr. Patrick Jesse Ugmad. A virtual applause, please.
Good day to every one of us. In behalf of our President, Mr. Michael Dayanan Luna, and to our organization, ILUSSTRADO, I, Patrick Jesse Ugmad, would like to express our gratitude to the President of each organizations in the College of Teachers Education, and also to the participants of this event. We are truly thankful for your participation. Today, we commemorate the greatness and sacrifices of our ancestors during the World War II, commemorates the heroism of Filipinos and American soldiers when the Japanese occupied the Philippines. There were 76,000 Filipinos, Chinese, and American soldiers surrendered to the hand of Japanese at the dawn on April 9, 1942. Our soldiers were forced to take a 90-mile hike to Bataan, or also known as the Bataan Death March. Thousands of prisoners died during the hike due to starvation, dehydration, and diseases before they could reach the camp. We commemorate the 9th of April for us to never forget the true essence of this day, for us to never forget the sacrifices of our fellow countrymen, and for us to never forget the relevance of our past whilst we journey towards our future. In the contemporary era, we can still show our bravery and courage towards helping our country. Heroism and patriotism are the key for the nation building. We, as the future educators, our contribution is to build a generation that is able, civic-minded, and that has principles. This is our profession, and this is also our way to contribute to our nation. And that would be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. This is Rhea Joel Cano, your host for this event and the ILUSSTRADO's Business Manager, saying, sa pagharap sa pagsubok ng buhay, kaibigan, maging magiting ka. God bless everyone at mabuhay ang bansang Pilipinas.
Tayo'y Pilipino, kahit anong kulay ng balat, isa sa puso, mapatagalong Bisaya o Ilocano, walang tatalo sa bansig ng ating dugo. Isigaw ng malakas ang ating panalo, huwag nang pag-usapan ng mga negatibong pangyayari sa mga paningkana sa mundo. Kinabukasan na natin to. Kung inakala mong isang lingwahe lang kaya gamitin ni Easy, may laka mapapala kung ganyan ka mag-isip. Kay bathala ka sisingil utang na galing sa loob na lumutang, hinain sa turon na may pusang sinaing sa... Ano? Ilocano? Okay. Uray mo nga ipagkakinyayo, ti o kinayo, di tuyak lang naggururay no sino